Now to team coverage of the developments in the Greg Kelley case tonight. Mike Rush is out live at the Williamson County Jail with Tony Plahetsky, where Kelley stepped out of the facility and into the waiting arms of family and friends a few hours ago. And our own Brandon Jones is tracking social media and what Kelley has been up to since being released. Let's start with Mike Rush. Mike?
Thanks, Quita. You know, this door behind me, it's pretty unremarkable, but it sure means a lot to a young man, at least symbolically. To Greg Kelley, when he stepped out of the door of that jail and onto the pavement here, it represented a second chance at freedom. It has been 3 years since he was convicted of sexually abusing a child. Since then, a lot of things have changed. Some suspects have turned up and some new evidence has turned up as well. Now a judge agrees with Kelley and granted him a $50,000 bond. He is enjoying a taste of freedom tonight, but it is still just a taste. There is a long road ahead if he wants to have complete freedom. For more on that, let's bring in Tony Plahetsky, who has been front and center at all of these updates in this case. What is the very latest on this? What does he do next?
Well, Mike, while we know that Greg Kelley's supporters across Central Texas are cheering his release tonight, his case is far from over, and it's going to likely be several months before the state's highest criminal court decides whether or not to possibly overturn Greg Kelley's conviction or possibly send him back to prison. So I'm going to walk you through what's going to be happening next. The judge who sided with Kelley must make recommendations to the Court of Criminal Appeals by the end of September. Her recommendations could include that Kelley get a new trial or that the court declare him innocent. But the conservative court, made up of 9 justices, has a very high bar for doing those things. Richard Wetzel, who worked as an attorney for the court for 25 years, explains.
And I know how they approach these cases, and I know how difficult it is to prevail on them, and so it ain't done till it's done. And simply because they agree in Georgetown as to what should occur, or they agree to a bond, does not bind these 9 judges here in Austin to the ultimate outcome. It's a very conservative court. It's becoming more and more conservative, and it's difficult to win.
Doesn't do this, so they... Now, Wetzel says it is rare for defendants to get the kind of bond that Greg Kelley received today, and it only became possible under a 2003 law. He says judges grant these bonds less than a dozen times a year statewide. Now, if the Court of Criminal Appeals decides to uphold Greg Kelley's conviction, that means that the bond he got today, Mike, would be revoked, and he would likely have to go back to prison.
So, Tony, you say that it is rare to grant a bond in a conviction in a case like this. Tell us what factors the judge took into account to actually grant that bond today.
Well, she sided with Greg Kelley on 2 main points, Mike. She decided that Greg Kelley's due process was violated by the Cedar Park Police Department, who she said did not thoroughly investigate the sexual assault of a 4-year-old boy. She also said that the attorney who represented Greg Kelley during his trial, Patricia Cummings, did not properly represent him by allowing Kelley to waive his right to appeal, despite what she said was a lack of evidence against him, Mike.
So now let's try to untangle some of these suspects. There are now 3 suspects. Greg Kelley remains a suspect. There is an unknown suspect, somebody who hasn't been named but who authorities do know of. And then the 3rd suspect in this sexual assault of a child that took place in 2013 at a home daycare. This is a friend of Greg Kelley, a man who actually lived in that house because his mother ran that daycare, Jonathan McCarty. So we're hearing that Kelley has not been very forthcoming with prosecutors when it comes to McCarty. Tell us about that.
Well, one of the big things that has been discussed and was discussed during a hearing earlier this month, Mike, is whether or not Greg Kelley's defense attorney during his trial vigorously pursued whether or not someone else, particularly Jonathan McCarty, may have carried out this crime. And what we are learning now, based on an affidavit from one of Greg Kelley's defense attorneys just before his trial, is that, according to this lawyer, they tried to pursue Jonathan McCarty and information concerning Jonathan McCarty. But Greg Kelley, according to this affidavit, put the kibosh on that, and so basically refused to answer questions about his involvement with Jonathan McCarty and whether or not Greg Kelley believed that Jonathan McCarty could have been involved in the crime.
That is certainly an interesting point and something that a lot of us would like to know why he acted that way, but of course we don't know that now. Perhaps at a later date as this case continues to unfold.
And like most things in this case, Mike, everybody has an opinion or a theory of their own, and I think that's one of the reasons this case has captivated so many people for so many months.
It has been crazy for several years, really, since it began.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks again. Good reporting there, Tony. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mike.
Well, his lawyer says that Kelley could not sleep last night in anticipation of his release today, and today he did wake up to a dream come true.
All right, man. Come on.
And just like that, Greg Kelley, from imprisoned to embraced. His girlfriend up first, not long after, his mother.
I just want him to be with me for the rest of his life at this moment.
These intimate moments all on public display.
It's so surreal right now. I couldn't process this.
Years in the making.
It's had its ups and downs for the past 3 years, and it's a new beginning for me. I know it's not over yet, but we're going to continue fighting, and the truth will prevail.
Truth for the victim, a 4-year-old boy at the time sexually assaulted. Kelley, who remains one of 3 suspects in this crime, has a message for the boy and his parents.
I'm sorry, but I didn't do that to your child. Someday I hope I can meet you and I can explain to you that it wasn't me.
But before that day, and the days to come in this continuing case, Kelley is a free man, for now.
And it's a new beginning for me.
So tonight, Kelley is at an undisclosed location with friends and family. Supporters, as well as people who are against Kelley, have been weighing in online on social media. And with more on the social media aspect of things, let's turn it over now to Brandon Jones.
Well, Mike, you know, we have seen the Greg Kelley case capture the attention of so many people across Central Texas since his arrest. From rallies to fundraisers to social media posts, Greg Kelley is a name many won't forget. So we want to show you some photos right now. This is of Kelley wakeboarding just hours after his release from the Williamson County Jail. They were posted on the Gregory Raymond Kelley Foundation Facebook page with the caption, "Living Free." The GRK Foundation started in 2014, and right now it has close to about 8,000 followers. So along with supporters are those who believe Kelley is guilty. Several bloggers have followed the case from the beginning, asking the judicial system to convict Kelley. We even saw a Twitter account called it Fake Fight for GK, devoted to proving that Kelley was guilty. There it is right there. So the video of his release has been viewed about 20,000 times, and that number keeps growing tonight. Several supporters have also told me that they are planning a welcome home party for Greg in the coming weeks. Quita?
Thank you, Brandon.